I like that. Okay, so we're on circuit 3. We're on modeling, and we get to do the modeling brief, the modeling, and the modeling debrief all today. So I'd like to review that from the data that we got from the teapot and the inventory of practices. Of course, from those tools we created the professional development plan and the learning objective. And then through coaching on topic, that took us deeper into the evidence basis for the learning objective. And we reviewed the Pyramid Plus approach resources for the strategy you chose to create the skill set rubric. And so here we are. And then I will demonstrate today how each skill of the strategy is done with fidelity to the Pyramid Plus approach and the skill set rubric, so you can see what it looks like and adjust the rubric as needed according to your learning style and or the individual needs of the children who are included. And then next we'll do the behavior rehearsal, where you'll practice the strategy to build your confidence and competence with my support, make adjustments as needed, and then the live coaching, also still with my support, and move on to peer-to-peer, where you get to share your learning, your new learning. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay. And so let's go ahead and review the skills on the skill set rubric and see if you had any thoughts since the last time we met, if you needed to make any changes to it.
Well, there's one change
Okay.
that I'm thinking of already, and so what happened is this week I'm back in the classroom. So I was in the classroom this week with the kids, and these two kids are not showing any of these behaviors when I'm here. They just don't, nothing.
Okay.
It's like I'm thinking even if I'm not scheduled and I'm coming in, they're going to see me in the room and they're going to behave. They're going to behave differently. So, so definitely, I'm thinking who's going to be the kids? Who's going to be the kids? So, what I do see is that Adeline has some moments of defiance, and it's more of this, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. She will see someone put down a toy they've had all day and pick it up without thinking about it or anything, but then the second somebody says, I was using that, she gets this little smile and she holds it out of their reach and runs away with this huge smile on her face. It's like, I have something you want, I have something you want, those kinds of things. But if I'm thinking over the span of my week, she's been here every day, so I've seen her for 4 days, and that's maybe 2 times a day that she's doing that,
Okay.
2, maybe 3. So it's not like this super consistent thing that she's always doing. So will we catch her? I don't know.
Okay.
So there is that. Then we have 4 sisters who have just started, all 4 of them in the same room, because it's a mixed age room, and it's like 3, 5, 7, 8, somewhere like that. I'm pretty sure it's 3, 5, 7, and 8. And you could probably follow any one of them through the day. The oldest one probably not so much, but the younger 3 and definitely the youngest 2, within half an hour you're going to see 2 or 3 things. Absolutely, you're going to see something.
Right.
And it's lots of little, mostly, ah! for very little things.
Right.
You know, this big scream she did. So it's this inability to problem solve and to know how to problem solve.
Is that
You'll
likely?
definitely see a lot.
Okay, so is that likely to
However,
happen?
it's very, very likely, but they're not here today. They
Okay.
weren't here yesterday.
Okay.
So now I'm thinking, well, I'm not sure about their consistency in coming.
Oh,
So I know
okay.
they're really good kids for
But
this
they all
project.
come or they all don't come?
Yes, yes. And they just started last week. They're very, very new. So this week they only came for 2 days.
Okay.
So I don't know what their attendance is going to look like next week.
Okay.
So that's kind of my problem there. So it's like I've got a couple kids, and it's like, well, if I kind of piece all these kids together, I'll probably be able to find someone. You know, I've got another kid who tends to just kind of do this big yell instead of take any kind of action. It's just a scream. And sometimes, you know, someone just kind of coming near them. There's a couple who do that kind of on and off, but it's very, you know, one will do it today, one will do it tomorrow.
So
And it's just like a 1 or 2 situations. Or there's one kid who will have a bad day and will probably get it 4 or 5 times that day, but then he'll go 5 days without having a problem. So trying to find the name is hard. So I'm wondering if we can just do it for more of a more general.
A child.
For
Yeah,
a
instead
more
of having
general-
a name, instead of putting a name, we could collect data on any child who is exhibiting challenging behaviors and not have a specific name.
Yeah, I'm thinking that might be what we need to do. And that would, I mean, I can see that could work pretty easily for an ABC chart because you don't have to have a specific behavior you're really looking for. It doesn't have to be one really specific kind of defined behavior. The scatter plot might be a little bit more difficult because that really is looking for a more specific behavior that you're looking at.
Okay,
So I'm
we could
wondering.
put as many as we wanted and make a key for it. Like,
I think that would be a good idea.
like
'cause it
1,
seems
2,
like-
3, 4, 5, and have a list of those, and then possibly, let's say, what is today? Thursday. So in the time I'm observing, maybe I see 5, 5, 5, you know, 3 of those happening and only 1 of those. So I like the idea of generalizing the
I think that will make it
objective.
much more doable for us.
And then knowing in a real situation, if you're collecting data on,
I
Well-
would be looking for a specific kid.
right, but still I'll have the name of that child eventually to fill out on here. And I don't know that these necessarily have to be in a certain order. That just needs to be done. So in this one here where you have to put the name of the child and the name of the teacher, well, maybe I'm going to wait until after
You
the
see who are
observation.
the ones who are having the child, the challenging
Right.
behavior.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're still, Rachel will collect data on a child, and if we just maybe make it 1 child or any child, let's see.
Yeah,
any
especially if I
child.
can, any, because then I like that.
Okay.
Any child exhibiting challenging behavior.
Using behavior data, scatter plot, and the ABC data sheet on 3 different days each within a 2-week time frame to inform the function of the child or children's behavior. I went my head. So let's go through. And I didn't go over specific directions of this the last time because it is our 3rd circuit. But you can certainly review this if you need to. And if you have any questions or if there's anything you don't remember about it. Okay.
I feel like I got the routine.
Mm-hmm. They were beginning to be pros, for sure.
So anytime we have Christian Adeline, we can replace that with child/children.
Okay.
So we'll have the individualized, the ABC data sheet for child/children, individualize the scatter plot, fill out the schedule for mixed age room, define targeted behaviors or for each child's children. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the communicate objective, inform all the staff in the mixed age room of the practice-based learning objective, inform them of the reasoning for it. And 3, plan strategies for the observations. For example, the response to incidents involving children each day during observation. And then for the materials, gather 2 copies of, and we have an individualized, gather 2 copies of,
And I forgot why it was 2 copies of one.
the
and
reason
1
why,
copy of the other.
because I just had 2 kids, so for the scatter plot, if I just have 1 copy for each kid and I have that schedule filled out and their behavior key,
Mhm.
then I'm going to get my 3 times on that one
Oh,
page.
sure. Okay.
And then this one,
Right.
I just wanted to have 2 in case I needed another paper.
Okay.
It was just to give me some
I
freedom
made
there.
lots of extras.
So maybe I should just say gather blank copies. Blank copies of ABC data sheet. I think we could do the ABC data sheet, period. Just gather blank copies of ABC data sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Gather pencil clipboard. Gather copies again, because we're not sure who we're going to see. So if it ends up being a different kid.
Did you say 2?
I'm just putting gather copies.
Oh, copies. Okay.
Of the scatter plot. Blank copies. Actually, I wouldn't want that to be blank. I would want a...
Although they will
What
be
with the schedule?
individualized eventually.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking I would like to have the schedule on there before I go in there and do that, because that would just be really easy to write it once and photocopy it onto the blanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how do you want to reword this?
Gather copies of scatter plot with mixed aid schedule filled in.
Built in?
Filled
Filled in.
in, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so then the observations are complete scatter plot and or ABC data sheet on any 1 or 2 children exhibiting challenging behavior.
Okay, where did you start on?
I have complete scatter plot and or ABC data sheet on any 1 or 2 children exhibiting challenging behavior.
Okay. And 6. I don't think we have to change.
Identifying the locked cabinet for file, label file for user identification. Nope, don't need to change that.
Okay. So now, you've changed some of the skills as you have explained. And we can go right to the written plan. We're planning this modeling activity, and I just have to get it all written down. All right. Well, so let's start out with, I have a list of questions here. How do you want to participate in the modeling? What do you want to be doing while modeling?
Okay, wow, a blizzard sounds really good right now.
You can't go to JCPenney and check out their sale. I could just see that on your face, that you were coming up with something clever.
I sure was. Okay, well, I definitely want to be in the room because I want to be observing the same thing that you're observing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about how that would work best for me. I guess if I were able to be kind of looking over your shoulder, so when I'm seeing that you're writing something down,
Okay.
be able to watch what you're writing down, and maybe even in that moment say, okay, so is it this behavior you're seeing that you're writing down? And, you know, if it's one of those ABCs, if it ends up being an ABC thing as opposed to a scatter plot thing, you know, to see if I'm seeing the same thing that you are as far as what happened before.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, we get to watch the video together to score the rubric together, like we did the last time. Okay, so that's different than the last 2 times when you wanted to be the fly on the wall. So then, yes, I think we might be able to get the whole view of the room with the camera set somewhere, like we did that one time. Don't think we'll need anybody to man the camera. And it did catch everybody's voices. So would that still work to do that? Okay. And we're in the multi-age room. And you're the lead.
No, I'm not the lead
Oh, you're
teacher
not the
there.
lead.
I'm an assistant teacher.
You're an assistant today.
Yes.
Okay. But you will be the lead when you're doing life coaching, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not ever the lead. Sometimes I'm an assistant, sometimes I am not assigned. When I am an assistant, though, I'm usually making the lesson plan and doing the story and all those kinds of things because the people who are the leads are assistants, so they don't really have the experience and stuff for that. But we try to take an assistant role as much as possible because we're not consistently with the kids during the summer.
Okay. Are there any other actions, any other specific actions that you need me to do in order to support your learning style as a model for you, other than kind of looking over my shoulder?
I don't think so.
Okay. And what time of day are we talking about? It is.
This is early afternoon, so what they're doing right now is in this classroom they'll be doing free play, and around 2:15 they'll be doing cleanup.
I wonder what happens after
So
cleanup.
we'll definitely, I'm sure we'll see something during cleanup. Then they're transitioning to the classroom next door, which is just where the nappers are waking up, and we all have snack together.
So the soonest we can get over there is during cleanup time, right?
No, we can go in there right now. They're doing free play right now. That's
Free play,
fine.
okay, free play.
It's just depending upon the timing.
Right,
What we
cleanup,
might see is a free play cleanup snack.
snack, okay. Is there anything that you can think of that we can do to prepare the children for us being in the room?
I think just letting them know that we're just going to sit and watch, so we're not coming into play. Let them know that we're just going in to sit and watch.
Okay. And anything else that we can do to prepare the teachers? Well, we do need to prepare the teachers because they didn't know we were doing this before when we were planning the skill set rubric. So how should we prepare the teachers?
Just by going in and letting them know that we're in here, we're just watching, it's for my coaching, and I'm doing this, and that's part of that rubric.
So do you want me to do that by myself, since it's part of the skill set rubric, or do you want to give them any information before I do that part? Like, we're going to let you know that Cindy's practicing, or not practicing,
I think we'll be fine in our first thing. If we end up going over to the other room for snack, then I would just introduce you to Miss May real quick, because I don't think that she would know who you are. But in the first room, it's Leticia, and she knows who you are and what you're doing with me and those kinds of things. But if we end up being into the room with Miss May, then I would want to introduce you, and then you could describe what we're doing.
Okay, so I'm going to describe what we're doing as part of the skill set rubric. Okay. And let's see. Oh, and how will the skill set rubric be individualized for children with special needs and or other challenging behaviors?
It'll be individualized for challenging behaviors. Well, when you fill it out, you're individualizing it for challenging behaviors, because you're describing the behavior for each child and what it looks like for them. Children with special needs, again, we had talked about that I think what might be defined as a challenging behavior for one kid may not be a challenging behavior for a child with a special need. Like hand flapping for a kid who's autistic. I'm not going to mark that as challenging behaviors, because that's part of their individual style of who and what they are and how they move around the room and interact with people. So definitely that knowledge.
And is there anything else I can do to support your learning style?
Not at this time, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, then let's go ahead and prepare for the modeling activity. I'll turn off the camera.